Hi everyone, Julie here. So today we've got a very special guest and he and his team are doing something really different and really quite special and something that I haven't actually seen before or heard of before. So I've written down a few points and just let me get that in front of me. Okay, so a few points about their business model, and excuse me for reading it, but I didn't want to forget anything. So here we go. So the thing that these guys have identified is that most business owners are forking out hard-earned money on advertising to attract new clients. But what is missing with most businesses is a system that produces additional cash flow from these same clients over and above what the business is already doing, essentially creating additional income streams. So, for example, in the last 6 months of working with their last client, they took them from just $14,000 a month to about $626,000 in that 6-month period, using what they call their PCR, I better get that right, system, which stands for Past Client Reactivation. Now, this is what's interesting, is the best part for you if you take this on board as a business owner is there's almost no work for you to do and no investment to be made in starting, because they only get paid when new sales come in and the funds are cleared in your account. So rather than me rambling on, so having said all that, I'd like to introduce you to Mark Anthony. So, Mark, welcome on this call today.
No, thank you. I appreciate you making time for me. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
That's okay. So, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Absolutely.
To get the conversation going. Okay. So, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you've done before, where you've come from?
100%. Absolutely. So my background for the past probably 18, 19 years is I used to run a digital marketing agency and done that for what feels like forever. The problem with running a digital marketing agency, and I'm sure if anyone's listening to this who runs one will recognize that no matter how much hard work you put in, no matter how much effort you put in, the job's just never good enough. Some customers are happy, yes, I'll admit that, but everyone seems to want to push you further and further and further. And the other big challenge that we always had too was the price shoppers. So I'd give a price on, say, running an SEO campaign or building a new website or maybe running an AdWords campaign or something like that. And it's always coming down to price as opposed to, well, what do I actually get for that? And it's also very hard to guarantee results because when Google's involved, you just don't know. And people are paying money, good hard-earned money, to send traffic to their website. And most people's websites aren't converting either because they've hired a graphic designer to build a website and not a marketer. And it's a whole can of worms that opens up. So I said to my business partner probably about a year and a bit ago now, so mate, if there was just a way we could start up something new where we just approach a new client and say, hey, there's no risk for you whatsoever. You don't have to put any money down. As a matter of fact, you'll only pay us when we bring new sales in. That would be the perfect model. And he told me I was dreaming. So what happened about November last year is one of our clients, by almost accident, if you can put it that way, he came up with the idea of having us on commission only, and we said no originally and started working together on the deal. So basically what we did is we found a really good system for people who have databases. So when you've got clients coming in, they're going onto your CRM, hardly anyone's marketing to these people in an intelligent manner, and they're not making any kind of cash flow over it. So what we're doing now is we're coming and turning those sorts of things into cash flow without them spending any money on advertising whatsoever, without them spending any money on an agency whatsoever, without any risk whatsoever. We pretty much take 100% of the risk, because if it doesn't work out, the client doesn't pay us anything, and we've just spent a whole week putting a campaign together that didn't work. So we really hone our skills down. I mean, I've got 18 years experience doing this. My business partner's about 14 years experience. A lot of successes under our belts, but now we've got this here that really works well for us and the client. So I hope that makes sense. That's what we're up to these days.
Well, that sounds good. So I mentioned before that you provide an additional stream of income. So what do you mean by that exactly?
Okay,
You mentioned a little bit, but yeah.
It's a really good question. So what happens is when people have new clients come in, what they tend to do is they'll sell them whatever they're selling. So you could be selling cupcakes, you could be selling, I don't know, bananas and fruit, whatever it is. But any business that collects a first name and a email address is either not marketing to that group, they're scared to market to them because they think they'll just unsubscribe, which defeats the purpose of having them in the first place. And they're not making any cash flow from them. So what we do now is, when we say PCR system, that's not PCR test, just to be clear on that, past client reactivation. So these are past clients. We've got a very unique system now that we've, I guess, worked out to a fine-tuning level that works really, really well. But we can actually go in and approach with our systems through your database and have them purchase more of your products. And it works really, really well when done the right way. So you don't want to have them thinking, oh, you're sending me too much, I'm going to unsubscribe. You're always going to get unsubscribes no matter what you send them. But to minimize that and use systems that actually work. And quite often we find people that earn this much by doing one campaign, earn this much in just a 7-day period. It's crazy how much more profit these companies are actually making because of this. So that's what we're doing at the moment, yeah.
Yes, okay. So how can you do this without an upfront payment? And isn't that risky on your part? And so how do you guys get paid, essentially?
Yep. Really good question. And it is very risky on our part if we don't look at what products you have, look at the kind of nurturing you've had with your database, how many are on there. So we tend to have a question time with a new client when they come in. We don't want to waste their time. We certainly don't want to waste our time. So usually they want to call with us for about 30 minutes. We ask a couple of key questions, and sometimes it's just not a good fit. The good thing is with this, if it's not a good fit, it's in our best interest to let you know. Usually when you're hiring an agency or a marketer or someone to do something, even if they think it's a good fit, they're probably not going to tell you. So this time it's very, very different. And it works out best for us both if, we've obviously got to be honest, because otherwise we're going to hurt ourselves. There's no point entering into some kind of arrangement if we're not going to deliver. It's just too much time and effort to put a whole funnel and our systems together, because every funnel is very unique. It's still our system. The system's the same, but customizing it to your products and what you do and who you are is a lot of work. So yeah, that's why we do take care of that. And I think the other part of your question was, how do we get paid? Is once the funds, let's say that you were our client, Julie, and we worked our program for you, you get paid through whatever payment processor you have online. It goes into your account. Once those funds are cleared, you pay us whatever agreed commission on those sales that we agreed on to us then. So you get paid first before we get a cent. It's very much the opposite to how every other marketer seems to be working, and how the opposite to how we used to work. So that's how that works. It's pretty straightforward. There's no big, long contracts or any nonsense like that. It's just very straightforward. We work, the results come in, we get paid. No results, we don't get paid. Pretty simple.
Okay, all right. That sounds very exciting and very different. So does this system actually replace like lead generation like a lot of us do and use? So.
Good question. No, absolutely does not replace that. It's more of an add-on, you might say. So if you're doing any lead generation, definitely would not want to get involved in changing that. We don't even do that anymore because this has proven to be so successful and very, very fast. So with a lot of lead generation too, and believe me, I do it too for our own business, is sometimes it takes a while, especially if you're doing things like SEO. You could be looking at 6-12 months before you start seeing some benefits there. We guarantee 7 to 14 days, 100% guaranteed, and we're done and dusted. Now, some companies and some products or some services lend themselves to be longer, or maybe we do a program where we just do once every quarter. So every 3 months, we might run something to your database. I'm a big fan of not overdoing it. You don't want to spam your database because they'll drop off like flies really quick. You don't want to do that. So that's why we've got a system now that works really, really well. Depending on what you sell, we make that work, but it's definitely something very different. A lot of people have, we had a call just the other day with a gentleman from a medium-sized company with about 50 employees. he actually stopped and he said, I've never heard of anything like this. And he's sitting there, you can see he's trying to fish for a reason under normal circumstances to say, let me think about it. But there was just nothing to think about. He just said it. He said, look, I'm in. As long as there's nothing sneaky there, he said, I'm in.
Yeah. So, okay. So what type of businesses or products does this system suit best?
Very good question, actually. We found it to work best with digital products. So you might have a digital course. I'm not saying ebooks, because ebooks there's only a few dollars in them. So if you've got a course that you're selling for, $500, $1,000, $10,000 that's digital, it works really, really well for something like that. However, if you're a plumber or an electrician, it could also work there. Depends on your database, but it also depends on a few other factors. So a couple of people who have come to us with this have been one-man bands. And the problem we have, even though they've got a decent database, is sure, we can go in there and make some money straight off the bat like that. But the problem is, for the one-man band, how could he possibly handle it if we brought in an extra 250 sales in 7 days? So it's not a good fit for you if you're like that. If you're a plumbing company and you've got 200 outlets around Australia, then maybe it could work for you. So it really depends a lot on a number of factors. So we do look at all those things and keep it very much an open book, because I would hate to work with someone where their business growth was so fast that was the reason they broke down and crumbled. It just wouldn't work. Yeah.
Okay. So that's all well and said. Do you have some examples that you could share with us?
Well, what I did, because I kind of anticipated you might ask me that, is I might share my screen. I've asked one of our clients if it'd be okay if I could share some of the results that we've been working with him over the past 7 months. So I'll just share the screen here. Just bear with me. I'll get that up and running here. There we go. Is that coming through clearly?
Yes, yes. I see that.
So what this is here, this is the Woocommerce. If anyone understands what Woocommerce is, it's where the sales go through in this gentleman's website. Now, there's 2 areas where your sales come in. This is one. I will show you the other one. So we started with this gentleman back in December of 2020. And basically, you can see down here the kind of sales he was making per day. So they were, nothing fancy. They were small sales. One of his bigger days, $1,500, $69, $90, and so on. So what happened was this gentleman actually approached us, asked if we could. He was extremely skeptical, had been burnt by agencies before, and he put a deal on the table for us, which we eventually accepted. So it was commission only. This was the first client we worked with doing this. So what happened was this gentleman was turning over about $14,000 a month on an average. It's just him working from home. You've got to imagine he doesn't even have a shop front. It's just one man and his girlfriend helping him out running this business from home. So what we did is we put a campaign together. He approved it, and we ran it for 7 days right here, which is where the spike was. And what's very interesting about this is on the last day, the day after and the day after that, we had 3 emails come in saying, hey, I missed the promotion. Can I still get that deal? And I put it to him to say, well, why don't we open it again for just 2 days for people who missed out? And he was a little bit worried. I don't want to spam the database. I said, well, look, we'll just tell the truth and say, look, for those of you who missed out on it, we're opening again for 2 days. And as a result, day 1, another $10,000, and the day 2 was another $18,000 in sales that he normally wouldn't have got. And we didn't even think to do that, which is now sometimes part of our system, depending on what happens. We get just one email that comes in and asks about it, we will actually run it again. If we don't get an email, we tend not to. So we do keep it very much above board. But here's an interesting thing. Now, this guy's best month ever before we came along was $21,000. There's his monthly turnover, $120,000. So you might imagine a one-man band working from home would be quite excited at $120,000 coming in. So even after he paid our commissions, he was still way over, many times over his best month ever. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just show you what happened the following month. So I'll just go to 2021, January 1st to the 31st. Did I do that right? Yep, that's good. I'll click go. So now here's an interesting thing. We did not run another campaign this month at all. But because the previous month, we gave people an option to pay up front for the product he was selling or make a payment over 2 months and halve it, a little bit of interest, of course. Some people chose that. So what happened here the next month was people making their second payment. Now, we did not run a campaign this month at all, yet he still did more than what his best month ever was on his own of 21, just shy of $21,000 it was. So no campaign, no additional campaigns, but just the overflow of what was coming with these second payments exceeded what he'd done previously before we ever came involved working with him. So an interesting thing happened there. So we just go into February. I'll show you what happened in February to the 28th. So what we did here is he had a high ticket item that he'd be selling for, I think it was about $1,500. I can't remember exactly, it was about that amount. So he didn't think that any of his members would want to buy it. And he was very skeptical of trying to market it to his database. He was really worried. I remember him saying something along the lines of, oh, look, if they really wanted to buy that, they'd buy it. It's too expensive and blah, 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 blah. So would you be open to testing it to just 100 people on the database? He said, all right, let's give it a try. There's every day you can see the numbers he's doing. We tested it for one day and boom, $5,600 in one day. So I said to him, well, if you're open to it, obviously they like it. Let's put the promotion together at the end of the month. So we did. And as a result, that's what happened. And $116,000 for the month. And mind you, it all came in the last 7 days of the month. But there's something very interesting happened here at the end of the next month. We forgot to actually stop and close it off. So as you went to buy it, you couldn't get it anymore. We actually forgot about it. And have a look at what happened the next 2 days. Let me just go into March. March the 1st, March the 31st. So 2 more days it ran for. We didn't realize another $11,000. And the day after that, another almost $3,000. And we didn't even realize till we got to about here somewhere. We went, hey, what's this down here? And we realized that we forgot to close it off. So that's what happened. Funny, interesting how things happen. So what happened this month is he had 2 different products again that the database always asks about. Because this guy does live webinars once every 2nd week. And most people who want his education are they want to understand law better. So there could be anything from a law student or just from someone at home that wants to understand maybe even how to get off a parking ticket, who knows. So, and he covers a lot of things like that. So he had 2 other products. We ran one promotion, he won here, and he had a month of $140,000, which was the best month he did. So he was pretty happy there. Now this goes on, we ran 5 campaigns in total over a 7-month period. So what I'll do is I'll take you back to December and show you what he did in a total. So December 2020 to, it was July 2021. So the total turnover he did, now got to remember this guy was doing about $14,000 a month only on an average. So the total was $655,000 as opposed to about $100,000 in about a 6.5 to 7 month period. So more like 6.5 months because it was the end of December to about the first week or 2 of July. So anyway, this kind of number here was something he couldn't believe was even possible. Today, he's now got a full-time web developer, full-time PA, a full-time, managing director, you might say, and 3 contracted solicitors to do some work with him. So he's expanded really quick. We actually had to help him. We actually didn't know how to automate things in his business, so we did help him with that as well. Now, this is one area that he has income coming in from. What we did then is we said, well, would you be open to investing a little bit of money into bringing some new customers in? Because he had complete faith in us, it was a no-brainer for him. So he's currently investing somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 in round numbers just in YouTube ads. And I'll show you for just one of his products. So this is a $199 product and with a yearly membership of $99 per year. If people want to continue, he's got a whole bunch of bonuses he has for people in his membership area. So it's just $199. There's been a total of 325 sales in the past 4.5 months that we've been doing this. That's about $60-something thousand. My head's working right. Less about another, say, $7,000 in expenses for the ads, plus our commissions. He still made $45,000 to $50,000 profit. And the interesting thing about this and everything he did in this area in particular is he had to spend 0 time on it. And in this particular area, 0 money to get that. So total of around about $700,000 in a 7-month period is not too shabby for someone who was a one-man band before. On a good month was doing he might have done about $120,000 in that same time space otherwise. So that's a live example of what that is. I'll just come back off the screen share because I don't need that anymore there. And that's in a nutshell the kind of numbers that we tend to look at quite realistically. With larger companies, obviously the numbers are staggeringly higher than that because they have larger databases, and they do sell into the millions. But this is just a small one-man band and how it can work. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So
works.
Yes, it definitely looks like it does. So Mark, how can someone get involved if they're interested in having a chat with you? What can they do now?
Pretty simple. The website they can go to is just moreclientsfast.com.au, and I'll give you a link. You can share that, or might edit the video later on and put it up there for people. Okay. Basically, it's a process we have. So it's not just go there and give us a call. It's you go there, you watch the video. The video goes for about 3.5 minutes, and it explains a little bit about what we do. If you think, well, maybe this could be a good fit for me, there's a button next to that video. If you're on a mobile device, it'll be underneath it. You just click that, and you answer a couple of questions about your business. Once you've done that, it just sends you straight across to my online diary. You just book a time that you see I'm available that works for you, and we just come in and have a chat. If it looks like a good fit, we just move forward from there. It's really simple. There's nothing complex about it. I like simple. Complex tends to confuse me. So. Yeah.
Wow. So, well, that looks really, it could bring some real relief to some businesses right now. I mean, we're all being affected in some way in recent times. And I'm sure that, there are people there that you can help. So thank you, Mark, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Very grateful.
Yes, well, I appreciate you spending the time. So for those listening, if you're open to having a further look at this to see whether your business might be a fit, I'll put the link, as Mark said, somewhere when I get off here. But it is moreclientsfast.com.au, and you guys can go over there and click on that and have a better look. So thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for listening.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Julie. I really appreciate it.
Okay, no worries.